If you don't have an OSPO, even if you are not seeking for collaboration, publishing open source, you are at risk. Subcontractors and sometimes employees of your company who are in charge for development will adopt an open source code base. So I'm Boris Dolley. I'm leading the open source program office in RTE. RTE is a French transmission system operator. Open source is a journey for us, an industrial journey. Because it's a journey, we need to manage it. That's why we built an OSPO. My daily work is to manage risks. And for example, the compliance topic, where SCANOSS is an actor, a key actor, and the cybersecurity management for dependence, vulnerability checks, etc., is one of the operational topics from a day-to-day perspective. It's a 20-year plus shift, which is now fully operating because automotive, aeronautics, and now electricity/energy is widely adopting open source for core business needs. Telecommunication in the cloud was the key enablers to inspire industries, because we are now, of course, still asset built, physical asset built, but we are now software driven. That's why open source was naturally adopted to also going at scale for our digital needs and utilities. It was a chain reaction. The first guess, it was a gut feeling from high-level people in my company, very clever people in the research and development department. And those guys had the feeling that it was important to go to open source first for transparency purpose and making our production, that is, we are a public utility, a public-owned, 100% public-owned company. So we tried. And we give it a try, and it was very successful and very quickly successful. To go at scale, you cannot release code that you have in your research and development and maybe ICT department, digital assets into the wild and saying, okay, it's open source, we publish the code. No, it's not enough to go to the interoperability purpose, which means that the OSPO was for managing risks and for making this journey successful. It was obvious to have to build an OSPO, so that's what we did. So our intelligence agency about cybersecurity, the ANSSI in France, is the best sponsor for that, because they are able to demonstrate based on fact that is very helpful to be in open source for cybersecurity purpose. They don't say that it's better than or worse than closed source proprietary software. No, it's not the point, because there is no scientific paper about that. But it's very easy through experience to showcase that cybersecurity by design with definition of a threat model where the enemy knows perfectly your asset, quite a strong situation. We are 100% public, and when you put public money and you publish public code, are you making a mistake? Are you making a distortion of the market? Are we where we should be? We are not a vendor of software. And the answer was not from the French administration, but from the European Commission. European Commission is so oftenly saying that public code, public money. Between 2017 and 2019, someone called Julie Goodman, he passed away. She was in California thinking about the question of climate change and energy transition, because it's deeply connected. And she developed a way of thinking, saying, okay, the hybridation of the network will be the path for the energy transition to happen, or climate change management on Earth. And she was thinking about how can we make it as an ecosystem. She thinks that open source is the answer. She literally knocked at the door of the Linux Foundation, knowing no one in this foundation. She succeeded with the Linux Foundation about the idea, but what about the consistency? Making consistency in the United States at this time was quite hard for her. She didn't find any involved partners. So she sent a message in a bottle, maybe somewhere on LinkedIn, and a subsidiary of RTE, the RTE International subsidiary, add this message and make a forward to the board of R&D. And I was saying, whoa, we have something to say with her. So we met her, and the connection with the Linux Foundation was made. And we started in 2018 for 1 year analysis. And in 2019, we built the foundation we call LF Energy. Open source is an accelerator for being able to optimize the question of the exchange. When you need to import or export electricity in your country, it's because you're facing a situation. Sometimes benefit for you, or maybe sometimes you need to pay a lot of money for that. But when you are doing this optimization of the remedial action, because when you import, you are being helped by foreigners, but neighbors and partners and peers. So it's helping because if you use the same tool to make the same optimization, you will be by design aligned on what can be done one defined situation with many solutions to tackle the solution, to tackle the problem you're facing. And remedial action optimization is one of the key points that can help nations to save something like billions of euros per year. If you are doing it in an optimized way, it could be free for you for a lot of situations, for IT, for digital workplace, some business models that are toxic because you are forced to go in a cloud solution, which is not on-prem, and where your data are somewhere that you can, by contract, ask to be placed in a specific area, but it's only a promise. Who can have insurance about those promises? So open source will be maybe sometimes mandatory for generic IT. What I feel is it's the situation we are living now. It means we will have a lot of work for the next 30 years because we need to rebuild the entire stack and to reappropriate the skills and the capacity to combine what exists in open source and making a market where you have sometimes European/French champions able to offer an SLA for every situation.